Alright class, so we just finished talking about reciprocal innervation, which is the same as withdrawal reflex is the same. Now on the right hand side of the screen, you see crossed extensor variety. What is that? Sometimes a painful stimulus elicits a flexor reflex in the affected limb and an extensor reflex in the opposite limb. This serves to push the body away from the stimulus or shift the weight to the opposite limb. So that's in short crossed extensor reflex. For testing purpose, you just need to know that the stimulus elicits flexor reflex and also an extensor reflex in the opposite side of the body. As long as you know that, you're good for testing purpose. Another example or another picture showing reciprocal innervation. So here, what do we see? We see that a knee tap activates spindle apparatus or this muscle spindle, and the sensory neuron carries the information to the central nervous system, and the sensory neuron actually coordinates with a motor neuron here, and it has an excitatory influence on the motor neuron. So it stimulates the motor neuron and causes contraction of the extensor muscles. So the extensor muscles contract. However, if you notice here, the sensory neurons here talk to an interneuron, and the interneuron has an inhibitory effect on another motor neuron, which carries the motor command to the flexor muscle, and the flexor muscle is relaxed. So the point is, the sensory neuron in one hand excites the agonist muscle, meaning the muscle that work together, and the sensory neuron, with the help of an interneuron, inhibits the antagonist muscle, which works opposite to the muscle that has been stretched. All right, Golgi tendon reflex. Really briefly, let's go over this. Now, the Golgi tendon reflex prevents skeletal muscles from tensing excessively during active tension. Golgi tendon organs are nothing but nerve endings that are located within the tendons near a muscle tendon junction, as you see by the yellow arrow, at the location of the yellow arrow. Okay. As a muscle contracts, its associated tendon stretches, resulting in increased tension in the tendon and activation of the Golgi tendon organ. Nerve impulses in the Golgi tendon organ signal interneurons in the spinal cord, while in turn inhibits the action of the neurons in the spinal cord, which in turn inhibits the action of the motor neurons. When the motor neurons are inhibited, the associated muscle is allowed to relax. This protects the muscle and tendon from excessive tension damage. So let's read through the boxes. So we do see a Golgi tendon organ at the muscle tendon junction, and as there is more tension in the tendon, that activates the green sensory neuron, and the sensory neuron carries that information to the central nervous system. Now, the sensory neuron talks to an interneuron in yellow, and the interneuron then sends an inhibitory signal to the motor neuron, which thereby inhibits the motor neuron activity, and therefore the tension on the tendon is reduced. So that's a Golgi tendon reflex. All right.